Hi guys, I just got done being in the car all day. How's it going? And it is raining like cats and dogs. Oh boy, sorry for being 6 minutes late again or whatever. How's everybody doing? Why does this thing start so close every time now? Sorry guys. Just having problems today. It's just all sorts of problems today. It rained, hasn't rained like it rained the last 2 days in Washington for months. And it rained, I don't know, 3 inches on the east side of the state yesterday, and then another like 5 today. It's crazy. Might as well be a hurricane. Or tropical depression, I should say. Alright, guys, I'm going to scroll back in the chat real quick. Take a look who's in here. Say hello. Thank you for being on time, even if I never am. Meridial, good to see you. Pat and Jess, good to see you. Or Pat. Jackson Tax, what is up? Hello, big warm mental hugs to one and all. I agree. Seriously, I'm a big hugger. We got to go over to our friend's place where I did the live stream yesterday. We hung out with them for a couple days before. And I didn't cut my hair some crazy way. It's just wet. I was out. It was raining so hard I couldn't get into the house without it. But with all the lockdown stuff, we literally have not had like intimate, friendly connections. Like we haven't. It's been my wife and I, and we've had friends stop by, distanced, or call, or be down on the balcony and yell down at them, or go up for a bike ride or something. But we haven't been able to sit at a dinner table together with friends or anything, and it's been just so weird. Like this was the first time that we had a group that we felt like was responsible and clear to go, so we went for it because of my autoimmune issues. I'm pretty much, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty much screwed if I get it. So let's see here. Pat says Alex is one of my favorite great videos. Just a great person. Oh shucks, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. I think that all of y'all watching are great folks, and it's sometimes I wish this year that we were doing the aquarium or aquatic. Brain's not gonna work. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have a rough brain day today. Sorry, but yeah, the aquatic experience. That's what it's called. That's the thing I'm thinking about. No social gatherings, no fish club meetings. There's just nothing going on. So, all right, Muppet, what's going on? Chevy Fish. Interesting. Chevy Fish had a wrench and now does not. How did that happen? Weird. Yeah, my allergies have kicked up in the last few days too, so I don't know what it is, mold or something? Fungi? Let's see here. Oh yeah, Meridial Singh was saying that the aquatic pollen on the apongatons or aponagitans, that the flower is triggering allergies, and I can definitely tell you that for me it does too. Here, let's look at some of my tanks now that I'm back while we do this, because like just this little guy, I can just smell it from across the room easily. It's very strong smelling. From the looks of it, I've so far only found one fish that died. I mean, it was only 5 days that I was neglecting tanks and that no one got fed, but hopefully that'll. I can see some snail bloom happened, so they definitely ate that thing and took care of the ammonia in the water. But I bet the nitrites are high. And this tank, clearly the nitrites are just out of control. If in 5 days this much green algae formed, so I'm guessing something died. I'm hoping it's not, but I bet it's my Siamese algae eater that's really old, who's like 6.5 inches. He's huge, but I don't see him in here, and I haven't. And I fed them. I only got home like 20 minutes ago, and then just finished unpacking the car. And then the other thing that I'm seeing, which is like, what the heck, dude, is worms. So seriously, you let your guard down for 2 freaking minutes, and everything goes to hell. At least it's just this tank, as far as I can see. And then this is kind of interesting. So basically, I only put water that's heated in this tank. And you can see the difference in evaporation when you don't put a lid on things. You can also see the rice fish are growing out in here. And then in here we've got the green shrimp, green jades are in here, as well as the batis are also in here. I'm probably going to prod at them in a minute. And then in here we have some little cherry shrimp culls, and not really anything right now. We're just kind of, this will be the chamber for waiting, and maybe something will come of this chamber at some point in the future. This looks like it's growing up to be a Riley shrimp. This one here is kind of hard to focus on. Alright guys, let's see here. Pat and Jess, I'm sorry, Jess has a runny nose and her chest hurts. Tea will fix everything. Let's see here. Got a bunch of friends from the fish club I haven't seen since March this weekend. That was awesome. Nice. Oh, got to see a bunch. Drew Sample, what's going on, buddy? Also, our fish club is pretty much shut down right now. Yeah, me too. It's interesting, you guys were just talking about this. I didn't even read about, I mean, I hadn't even read the chat at all, and this was just my same sentiment. Let's see here. Just rolling through. Novice Aquarius. Yeah, I would love to do aquarium club talks. I've done talks, I've done lectures in the past. Oddly enough, I know it's not related to fish, but I've done field medic training for political folks, or hiking, or I don't know, just concerts and things, like people who public people that don't need training for anything other than like mass casualty events or dehydration, stuff that could happen. It's unlikely to happen, but it could. Also, by the way, one of my algae eating shrimps isn't buried up again. If we can get a good look at her, which doesn't look like we can, because of course we can't. Let's see here. Nope. Just not gonna let me, huh? Cameras and the resolution's just not gonna let me. Well, you can see what they look like when they're not buried. They're very clear, and not so clear when they have thousands of these little eggs, just thousands and thousands of them in there. It's crazy how many they pack in their little frame there. So they're doing that. Other than that, everyone looks good. My African 9-banded dwarf barbs, they're doing really good. But yet again, algae's growing, but this tank doesn't have substrate in it at all, really, other than some crushed coral. So it doesn't surprise me that much that it's having some issues with the algae, especially with as strong as this light is. So we'll probably dial back the light hours, and then also put some faster growing like hornwort or something in there. Plus, I took out all the duckweed when I left. Literally, this has come back. You can see it's gone on this half pretty much, but it all came back on this third or this half of the 20 long. And then these guys, these swordtails, they haven't had any babies yet, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping they would have some babies. There's the male over here, and he doesn't have like a big sword or anything, but apparently on this strain they don't a lot of times, and they don't get huge like they would in a natural swordtail or molly or sailfin or anything like that. So also gobies are doing great, so that's good. Big Worm, what's up? Maddie Scientists, Cheryl Evans, here Fishy. Who else have we got rolling in? Okay, Amateur Aquarius. I saw your comment. Yeah, look at my fake plants. Um, yeah, Jackson Tax, we are having a big windstorm right now. The internet is sketchy. I may lose you. Alan, what's going on, brother? Hope you're doing well, man. Tiffany, hello. Uh, Tiffany White, are you the same screen name as Just Tiffany? Did you change it, or are you another Tiffany? You're not Just Tiffany. You're Tiffany White. Bear's Face, what's up? Gello. I got snacks. What's up? Chief Reap, do you happen to find out whether that tortoise in Walla Walla... Yes, it was a sulcata tortoise. You were correct. Thank you. Alright, I'm almost caught up, I think. Thank you, Muppet, for being awesome. Martin, Dollinger, hello. Curtis, what's up? One Dirty Platy, how's it going? Hey, Dirty, baby, I got your platy, don't you worry. I said, hey. Alright, guys, so I was thinking tonight, if you guys have questions, we can hit that. But I was Psychedelic Hippocampus, what's going on also? I was thinking, the other Tiffany, yeah, that's right. We've got everyone in here. Oh, hello, a 140 super sticker. Thank you so much, Curtis. I appreciate that, my friend. I really do. I do. Thank you. This is the filterless tank. So really, it's the one that's kind of experienced the least neglect of everything. And it's chugging along. You know, I think it's really key on this tank. I've just played with it. I think it was really key decision to put the Danios in here. The big ornamental Danios. However, calcium is lacking and it is starting to hurt her spine. She's old though. She's like 2 or 3 almost now, probably. She's one of my first black Dumbo-eared tuxedo kois. But yeah, so those fish literally stir the water. Look at all the shrimp in here now. There's like probably 300. I mean, because there were 200 last time I took out about 100, and I hadn't even taken out half, and then I just gave up counting and threw them back in, and that was a couple months ago. But the light has been off on this tank for that long. I was hoping I'd kill off some of the duckweed. That was not successful. You can see the shrimp are eating at the top and playing with the duckweed. So yeah. Hey, Sharon Miller. And Ginger, what's going on? How's it going? Oh, you lost both your yo-yo loaches, huh? Yeah. They're mysterious regardless, like, of if they're having problems health-wise or not, but, yeah. So here's one of the plecos in here. They never come out. Since I put plecos in here, they never come out. It's way too densely crowded for them in here. Looks like all the peacock gudgeons are back under here. And I sold some of my tiger barbs just to some friends who had a big tank. So there's only like 3 in here that have health problems that I'm just kind of holding on to. So this tank's going to get redone at some point. Probably pretty soon, I would guess. So this is probably a common thing that happens, I would assume, to other people as well. But you come in and you look at a tank like this, and you left and it was like this side here where it's beautiful. And you come back and you're like, holy bejeebus, it's an allergy mess. Or algae. Boy, my mind is stuck on allergies. So we beat back the black beard algae that had been in here, but what happens when you get rid of one microorganism? Well, another one comes back. So this stuff is actually some of the easiest stuff to deal with, even though it looks annoying, and yes, it is persistent. When it is this thick, literally just wait another day if it's not yet, but you can literally just wrap it around your finger and it'll stick to itself, and you can pull out a clump in one go that big, and you literally use it like a sticky, like a ball of tape, like you pick up tape with another piece of tape, and it slides right off your hand as long as you soak your hand before you grab it. But yeah, so in any case, that's one thing to do. It looks like I had a billion little tiny Malaysian trumpet snails hatch as well. Now, we're going to have to find out, why did that happen? It looks as though everybody's okay. All the shrimp are colored up well. The rainbow fish are even showing off their white. The gobies are doing well, and they're sensitive to that low, to changes in the pH or in the nitrogen and nitrates and things like that. So my guess is it was this broken down leaf, as well as just clearing out all the algae that's been in here, and the new plants that I got from Scottish Aquatics, Aquarium plants, and yeah, you can see they've actually cleared off this stone to almost new condition, which is crazy. It was so stained when I put it in here. So they're all still doing really well. They do, looks like they did start picking at this surface algae, the surplus surface algae on the wood. So that's something that I'm just taking note of. I'm just kind of going through like some of the things I do every time I leave for a week or a few days or whatever. There's just kind of a protocol that I find is helpful. First, I always look for leaks. Then I look to see what the algae situation is when I don't dose spurts, and I don't leave CO2 on ever when I leave town, just because I don't want it to overdose and kill them. I do see a problem in this tank, though. It appears, and I could be wrong, they could be hiding, I suppose, but it appears as though the cories got very desperate and started eating all the mid-sized blue dream shrimp, because I only see a few in here, and that's really, really unfortunate if that turns out to be the case. Man, okay, let's see. I've never had cories do that before, other than to like one or two. I am seeing a few. Okay, I'm seeing more. They're hiding. Okay, they're hiding up here. I'm seeing more. There's algae in here too, so I want to check the nitrate level, but I think it's more that I moved the light over the tank, and I think that's going to be hopefully a bigger factor. Yeah, now they're kind of showing up more. So I may have lost, it looks like I lost some, but I also still have a good number of them, I suppose. So, alright, but there's also some schmutz on the front of the glass here on the inside. It's like a clear something or other, I don't know, biofilm of some sort. And this tank hasn't had light on at all, but it's got some issues with planaria in the past, so I just haven't fed it for a few weeks. But it's got little grow out shrimp, and as well as, what do you call them? You guys, I can't think of anything today. But this whole like mass, oh, that's gross. Gross, look at that. I need to get rid of that. I need to not kick that around for one thing. But I need to, we've got a bunch of pregnant blue dream shrimp in here right now. I see like 5 or 6 just off the top of my head, just by their body shape. I can tell. I don't even have to go in for a closer look. And I'm going to pull those cories out of there, even though they get along well with the little oches. But the baby shrimp, I think they may get desperate in only a 10-gallon. And I don't want that to happen. So I have to figure out which tank to put them in. But I always check for the algae issues. I'll work on them tomorrow. I'm not feeling like working on it today. Always look for any clusters of critters, like these snails. Why are they clustered up together? So I'll always go in and inspect that. Make sure that no one died. And, you know, usually I think, oh, something died. But in this case, they're just having a little fun time in a pile together. And it looks like, if anything, they're eating green hair algae. So, good job, guys. You keep doing you. And it looks like some rice fish hatched in here that were not here previously, so they're real young. And one of the Red Riding Hoods is buried up in this tank, so that's nice too. There was another one buried up, but so interesting little side note here is when I got these red riding hood shrimp from Aquatic Arts, I ended up, when I first got them, I ended up having bright yellow eggs, almost orange and sometimes green on the shrimp. And I thought that's unusual. And then I ended up keeping them a while, and now their eggs are white almost every time. And so I'm a little concerned that it's something about calcium, but I mean, the TDS in this tank is actually a little high, if anything. So I don't know what to tell them. Oh, never mind. I figured out what they were feeding on. Bummer. I lost one of my Red Riding Hoods. So that's a bummer. Total bummer, dude. But I've got plenty. I just won't be selling them for a while. And I usually do my spot gravel cleaning in here with just a turkey baster. Just to pick up any sort of detritus and mulm. Since it's only a shallow sand substrate, it doesn't function as a fully operational natural ecosystem the way a deep substrate or active substrate made with detritus and mulm and all the other stuff bed would. This one is kind of the same thing, but it's got two big canister and a sponge filter. So, Lee, what's going on, my friend? Or Lawrence, I should say. What's going on? Lurking activated. I'm really tired of hurricane, Sharon says. Delta was worse than Lara. Did a lot of damage to my roof. They didn't call for evacuations. We had gusts over 100. Wow. That's rough. I am sorry to hear about that. Mark, how's it going? I think my floating moss ball has blue-green algae, but it's nowhere else in my tank. Will anything eat that? Mark, that's a great question. No, not normally. But usually blue-green algae flourishes in anaerobic conditions. That's not always the case. Just 75-80% of the time it's the case. I have it upstairs right now in my my big tank with my show tank. I don't know what you want to call it. The rimless tank upstairs. Here, I'll point at it, but my wife's busy up there, so I don't want to bug her. Oh, never mind. My wife's busy right here. Can I go upstairs for a moment, hon? Okay. All right. So, this tank, the bigger the tank, the longer you can leave it too, by the way. So, this tank, doing pretty good. No CO2 was running, so it's a little lackluster on color. No dosing for the last 6 days. I cut back on the dosing and also the feeding the few days before we left town because I don't want nitrates and nitrites, ammonia, all that stuff, all that nasty stuff to build up. But as you were mentioning, cyanobacteria. So I have some cyanobacteria right in here. And I don't know if you can make it out. It was really, really prominent. It was all the sand had it. Some here too. All the sand across here had it really bad. So what I did is that was an indication to me, since it wasn't coming above the substrate level, that it's anaerobic. So that lets me know that putting plants in there, their roots, actually, when a plant has roots, if you guys remember this from the smell video I just did last week, when they put their roots down, that's the area in which the roots live. So here's a root coming through. It actually oxygenates the area for a couple millimeters, up to a couple centimeters, around every tissue on a plant, because they need nitrifying bacteria to help them capture nitrates in the and other goodies in the substrate. So plants do that, and then they work hand in hand with mycorrhizal fungi, which are also they also need oxygen. They don't need air enough to breathe. They just need very low level oxygenated soil generally. Not all, but most, fungi that fruits like a mushroom will. Some molds don't need it. But in any case, so they function on this level, and they'll go through, and just the fact that I planted this um, Meaka, which has these really fine stems that just go everywhere, and the leaves, or the daughter roots just go nuts. They go like crazy runners. They've just kind of gone nuts in there, and they've brought oxygen to the soil, which killed that cyanobacteria. So sometimes it can be as easy as putting plants in. Other times you disrupt that level or that layer, and there's some culture of it, because there's millions or hundreds of thousands of individual little beings forming a colony. And when you disrupt that, sometimes they're okay with it, and some can survive above the level, and then you'll see it on the glass here, or you'll see it on a rock, or a lot of times you'll see it on a filter intake. When that starts going on, you can disrupt it by taking away its light, if you don't have plants or plastic plants, because it does like environments that don't already have lots of bacteria, plants, and fungi. Fungi, plants, bacteria, algae, they're not bad things. People think they are. They only are. Algae only is aesthetically. Like, I'm annoyed at this tank at the moment because I want to sell plants out of it, but I'm not going to until I get rid of the blackbeard algae, visibly anyways. And before I left, it was pretty much all gone except off of there. And now it's kind of grown back that quickly. It's back on the leaves over back in there on the Anubias and on the Cypress hellfry. And it really took a beating to my Bulbitis hedulata. Like, this is the main stock that didn't get it, trashed by it. So that's one other thing that now I'm looking at, and I'm like, man, and blackbeard algae is a beast to deal with. I have 2 Siamese algae eaters in here. They're reticulated Siamese algae eaters, which are the only kind I would ever advise you to buy if you have the option. I mean, there's 4 kinds. I keep saying I'm going to do this video, and I just haven't found all 4 together. So here's one over here. This is reticulated. The one you want, guys, and this one looks skinny, as if he's not eating the blackbeard either. I'll have to watch him. He's over by the auto. No line down the side. So there's a Siamese algae eater with a line down the side. Then there's one with a line and a diamond on the tail. And then there's one with just the diamond on the tail. And these the scales look like carp scales. They're like plated. Those are called reticulated. So these are reticulated algae eaters here, the 2 that I have here, and they will eat their the blackbeard algae, especially if they get hungry enough. I was hoping that they would finish off the stuff on this pipe while I was gone. However, it looks like lights and some nutrient, probably phosphate, because I don't have a phosphate test per se. I'm guessing phosphate was high, because the nitrates were okay. My wife helped me because I still am having trouble lifting stuff with my ribs. But we did a 40% water change twice in a week, and so before we left. Also, I'm a little curious. I always like to look at my fish behavior when I get back. The guppies here are hanging out towards the top and kind of gasping a little bit. Not seriously. I'm hoping it's more exacerbation from these 3 males that are bugging her, and that she was just trying to catch a break up there, because I don't see any of the other fish that would be sensitive to that. You're going to know that, like, gouramis are not as sensitive. Some of the bigger fish will sometimes show it first because they need more oxygen. But the other ones that I've seen it happen with, when my CO2 is out, the ratio of it is too high, is my blue coachuse tetras, or in other tanks I've seen bleeding heart tetras. I've seen, trying to think what else suffers. So you won't really notice it from your catfish or your gouramis or your bettas or anything like that, but you will start to see it from some of the other species. They'll go to the top and they'll do this. So that's the sign. But I think that's a stress response here. I think they're bugging her because she is fertile right now and could be impregnated, rather than the fact that they actually are doing anything. Also, last thing, and I'll go back downstairs and leave my wife alone. My wife? Was that a Freudian slip? Maybe not Freudian. Polite slip. So in here, here's Sergio, looking fat and sassy as ever. Man, he's looking really fat. Why are you so fat? You haven't eaten in a week. Why are you so fat? And he's got some nice pearly scales up top right now. The other fish, she looks okay. Looks like she's been getting beat up by the other females a little bit. Check out her scale. There's some modeling to her scale. And here we go. She looks like she might have a clutch coming in her belly a bit, but definitely she's got a full clutch. So she'll be laying eggs this week, if I know this tank by now. She'll be laying eggs. When we get a house, I will get a 40 breeder for the angels, and we'll raise them out properly. Because these two mostly trade off, but the other one trades off in between. Looks like the cribs are out as well. And some baby cribs are showing their face that are actually, they're juveniles. They're not just little babies. So that's a good sign that everyone looks good. And there's actually some new juvenile cribs in here. Check them out. They had not shown their face before I left town. There's another one right here. Another down in here. So they definitely had babies a while back, and they've decided it was calm and safe enough for those to come out. And this Aponigeton longifolia is insane. It's almost 3 feet long. I've never seen one get this big. Let's see if we can hold the leaves up. So that's at the bottom of the tank. It's in the substrate, and it's coming out of a 2.5-foot tank. So the same species is downstairs in that low light tank doing a whole lot of nothing. So yeah, all right. Back to the me show. Whoops. Back to the me show. We'll go back downstairs. But the big tanks, yeah, they're doing fine. The 40 gallons are mostly fine. It's the 40 gallon downstairs that has the Fluval planted plus all the way at 100% because I'm a big dum-dum and didn't turn it down to 50% before I left town. So upstairs looks like we have a phosphate problem. That would be my guess. That's easy enough to correct. Downstairs, this is probably a nitrite problem. Also, not that big of a deal to correct, but I'm going to have to manually get rid of that algae. And then I'll have to, yeah, it looks like Panda Garas. I'm starting to see more critters in here. At first I was kind of like, where is everybody? But it is pretty dense. This tank is planted thick all the way back. So, all right. Let's flip it around. All right, guys. I feel like I haven't kept up with the chat at all just now, so let me do so. Also, cheers to anyone out there. Drink one if you got one. Oh yeah, definitely got to fill my tanks. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll have to top off everything tomorrow when my wife gets home. It's so frustrating not being able to do it on my own right now. Novice Aquarius, have to get up at 4 a.m. for work. Take care. You take care. Probably already gone because I took so long to respond. Sorry. Fishy. Oh, must have said something sketchy. Thanks, Muppet. I appreciate it. Jeff Chambers, what's going on, my brother? Here, Fishy. Male peacock curmudgeon. Gudgeon and curmudgeon, I always think of the same thing. Missing. Flopping around on the carpet over an hour. Found him by stepping on him. He hid for a day, and now he's back to 100%. Soldier. They're very hardy. I have a video where they jumped the equivalent of from this tank here into, say, a tank down there. And they must have had to make several jumps onto false platforms, like the table, and then flop around the table for a while and then make it down into the thing. But, I mean, they know, there's a study. I don't think anybody saw it, actually. Did I post it? Maybe I did. I was going to post it, Why Fish Jump. Maybe I did post it for members. Oh, so also, Meridial, the plant that's shooting the spike in the center of that tank upstairs, that is an onion plant, a Aponigeton onion plant. And I don't remember the Latin name off the top of my head right this second. Chubbs, what's going on? How's it going? Uh, but yeah, very interesting. Uh, let's see. I don't know what type of Corridoras I want next. Yeah, you want the triple ones? Yeah, those are pretty sweet. The CW111s. Um, I would suggest if you're gonna breed them, buy something that's not that popular right now and not that expensive, but just like only one place carries it and you like it. That's what I would recommend. There's going to be some changes coming in the hobby as there are every year, every season. This, man, I look like my hair is like greasy and matted. It's just drying from being wet and it looks bad. In any case, uncut, real. This is the real life of Alex Williamson. So yeah, I was just thinking about that for my own fish room. Okay, what am I gonna start spawning in over the winter? Like, what's it gonna be, Alex? Um, and I think the color red is gonna be over. So last year was the color of the panda for the last 2 years, and then we got into all those albino live bearers and angels and koi this and koi that, and they're still popular. But everybody who's going to breed them for money, they've already been doing it. So you're going to see that that's hitting a saturation point, just like the pandas did for a while. And the pandas have actually died down, whether it's panda guppies, panda swordtails, panda shrimp. I mean, there's just a million things. Panda Garas, those aren't new by any means, but they're a new fish to our hobby, relatively speaking, I suppose, as a popular fish. Dragon Lair, what's going on? At last I was home this time. I put batteries, bubblers in the tanks. We lost electricity again. All fish did well. Good job. Right on. At least hurricanes, the weather is warm. Here we get storms when it's like 35 degrees outside, 45 degrees outside, and everything gets cold. So I have a video where I'm like, wrap all your tanks in cardboard and blankets, and some people are probably like, what? Why would I do that? But that's for cold weather. If you've got other issues, you may need ice cubes from somewhere. Pretty stoked. I got some Top View Ranchu coming this week. Pretty sweet. Indoor fishing inside. Hello. Yeah, I hope that all the power's back to anybody who's out, especially if you guys are watching this in the future. Know that I'm thinking of y'all. That's always a rough one. You can definitely oh, okay, Jeff was saying, Sharon, gotta get you some Tesla solar panels and a battery. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cheap solar panels out there now that you can get to have on hand. I've got a bunch of airstone bubblers, pumps that, I think I have like 4 right now, that are battery operated, but they burn through batteries. Those are really for like collecting trips, or I mean, in the Northwest, we can't rely on the sun that much either. There's a lot of days where the street lights come on, so it gets a little dark for that. Thank you, Muppet, for posting links, so I don't have to harp on everyone about joining joining the club, the membership drive. But I do want to thank you guys again for joining, and I do want your input. So I posted recently, I said, what do you guys want to see as far as content in November? I kind of have some ideas for the rest of this month, and I've shot some stuff already, and have written out some outlines that may or not come to fruition. And I also wanted to see a response in what you guys thought of that kind of outline with extra links and source links. I didn't link, I linked Wikipedia once because I went down a wormhole on that. And whenever I find stuff on Wikipedia, unless it's something that I'm pretty sure is true, I'll usually go, or it's something that's not really that important, like maybe there's 30 Brazilian rivers that something's in, and I just say it's in South Brazil, you know, like something like that. But if I need to know the specific river, usually I'll try to go find like Catfish Planet, or you know, go somewhere and try to find where the specific river is or what fork it is, things like that. Like with the Panda Garas, that took me forever to figure out. It's kind of guarded where they are. They're in a national forest in China, the equivalent of what they call a national forest. Um, but yeah, so reticulated, I see that in the chat from earlier. Reticulated, get those. They're the best for eating all sorts of algae. For eating the stuff that's in the tank here, the green junk that's sticky and slimy. Also for eating the hard green stuff. For eating the crusty red and brown stuff, they'll try at that. Neorites are really the best for that one. But flagfish will also kind of do those same things. The nice thing about those fish is they don't really bug little fish or shrimp for the most part. There's exceptions. You'll get one with a bug up his nose and it just decides to go buck wild and eat all your shrimp, I guess, but it's only happened once to me in years of keeping. So, ribs. It's what you made for dinner. I wish I could use my busted ribs as something useful like food. Let's see here. Who else is talking? What else are we talking about, folks? We're arguing about barbecue. I'm not gonna get in the middle of that. Kevin Rosenberg, what's going on? You've been on furlough since May 5th and only gained 3 pounds, Curtis. That is incredible. You are a hero amongst the people, a king of kings. Kevin says, I just got my first pair of poultry ribs. They are digging and going to breed. Awesome fish. Yeah, they're really fun. They are, if you've never bred a fish other than, say, like live bears, they really are one of the best first steps. And they are so endearing to watch. They are sweet fish. They're not that violent to the other fish. And there's lots of variations within Crebensis. And once you learn to keep Crebensis so that they have babies and take care of them, you can learn to keep most of the African smaller and medium-bodied cichlids pretty easily after that, as well as Apistos, Geophagus, Microphagus, Nanochromis. All those ones are definitely in the same wheelhouse, I would say. You just have to play with the parameters a little bit. What is your experience with cribs eating pond or bladder snails? They will eat those sometimes. The ones upstairs definitely do. They taught themselves that, or maybe it's because I smushed enough and they'd wait and eat them, but then they realize that they are strong enough to actually eat the young ones. So they actually do that no problem themselves. However, in other tanks, like in the tank next to me, I've got full-grown cribs, and in my other tank upstairs, I've got albino cribs, which they don't see very well, so that might be why they don't eat any of the snails. But these ones here have no excuse. They're related to the other ones, and they don't eat them. I have a video where I show you guys peacock gudgeons, pea puffers, and bettas working as teammates. So the pea puffers crack a hole in the shell, and then they just do that to all the snails. Like, it's a waste in a tank. They just cause ammonia spikes. If you just throw 50 snails in, some pea puffers have the personality that they just go from snail to snail, putting their teeth right into the spine area or whatever in their shell, and it basically stops them from moving, puts blood in the water, and then they slowly die and rot, and they come back and eat like 5 of them and ignore all the other ones, and they just cause a giant ammonia spike. So in that tank, though, in a 20 long, at one point when I filmed that video, they were doing that. The gudgeons were getting into this. They're taking their snouts and fitting them in the actual shell, and then just like vigorously shaking their head or just surgically striking and pulling them out. And then the bettas were just chomping on that already cracked shell and eating them. So I do think that fish have culture, because it's an odd way to say it, but as an anthropologist, I believe that's what culture is passing on skills, technology, and traditions, and learning from others. So I don't think they have the ability to communicate that language for long. Obviously, I don't think if you put them in a new tank, um, just with other cribs, that they'd ever learn it unless they watch them doing it. But I do think that that is something that happens, because we see that in smarter animals for sure. Like killer whales will learn to beach dolphins and porpoises, or they'll team up with humans to hunt. So, yeah. Yeah, prune juice is Dr. Pepper's secret ingredient, is boiled prune juice. Uh, Man, I love that taste. Ever since I quit drinking. Yeah, I have tried the vanilla Dr. Pepper. It's really sweet. It's really good. If you want something really sweet, it's really good. I kind of wish they would like not add the extra sugar. There's actually more grams of sugar by um let's see. Oh, maybe there's not that much. I think there's 3 extra grams of sugar, so not that much. But what's up, Dan? And Peplin Creeks, hello. And Jennifer, hello. Oh, gold lasers, my oh my. I wish I. And J-Rad. Wow, we got lots of folks coming in. Mismatched socks. I like that name. But yeah, yeah. Oh, people are listing corridors. That's right. So yeah, I would say the other thing, Bolivian rams are beautiful. Cancer train, that's awesome. Please show us pictures on how that goes if you start getting some nice red color showing in the Bolivian rams. It's just like wild relatives of the Microphagus ramirezi, which is the blue German rams, the gold rams. All those rams are from that wild ancestor. Fowleri, those are nice ones. But I'm having trouble breeding them. I have bred bronze, panda, albino, schwarzite, trilineatus, but cannot get the Fowleris to breed. I have a video on breeding Cories, on breeding the Venezuelan ones. They were a bit harder for me, even though they are Aeneas. I had to look up the river conditions that color variant is found in, up in the Orinoco Delta rather than down in the Amazon. The Amazon Aeneas, just a bronze or green Cory or emerald Cory, you can get those to spawn in any sort of kind of neutral to acidic water. The Venezuelan ones, they want a TDS under like 100, and they love sand. They like to lay their eggs in the sand, and the sand, they like it heated by a heat lamp or by a really intense light, so that the sand stays warm. Because what they do is at night, right as the sun goes down, they all go into the shore. And I've asked people like Dean, who's, you've probably seen him on Aquarium Co-op, but he's a local fish breeder that I've learned from over the years. Dean, master fish breeder Dean, and he's been down there several times and watched them in the wild and stayed on boats exploring and collecting. And what they'll do, most Cory species, they either will swarm like a log or a snag in the river by the hundreds and thousands, or they'll do that on the sand. And in the sand, when they're spawning, they'll go right up to like an inch deep in the water. And if you can build a ramp like with slate and then put sand over that, just a little scattering of sand, enough that they feel like they're doing something on it, sometimes that'll do it. But also just, get that TDS up to 250 and maybe the pH around 7, and throw some catappa leaves in so there's some tannins in there and stuff, and then let the temperature get to like 84 degrees or 82 degrees, and then all of a sudden what you want to do is like a 60% water change, either right before the lights go out or right before they come on, morning or night, and so that'll trigger them into spawning frequently. It's not warm down there, it's hot, huh, Chubbs? I bet. Are you still out on the boat, Chubbs? 5-gallon Marineland portrait tank ideas. I was thinking a pea puffer, a beta, or some other small fish. Pea puffers have a lot of personality. They're like little velociraptors. I love that. Where are you at in Texas, Mismatched Socks? I've got family all over Texas. Well, not all over, but all over East Texas. Just picked up some Scarlet Batis. They're in a 25 full of scuds and moss. I think I got 4 males, 2 females. I assume they'll breed on their own, but any tips if not? Yeah, you might want to lower the numbers. They will colony breed sometimes if they have really thick undergrowth, like in here. They'll do it in that. Or if they have like a 20 long, in a 10 where I've always bred them before, like, I mean, my method of breeding them, I breed them every 6 months or so. I'll try to breed them. Right now, mine are in a 2.5 gallon, the babies that are growing out. There's 9 babies growing out in there. That's all I got this round. And that's not that crazy. I mean, my turnout tends to be somewhere between 10 and 30 generally per spawning of them. But what I generally do is I'll take as many females as I can get a hold of, because some of them will be males. They can turn gender. So a lot of them are born female but can turn male, and they turn their ovaries off, but they can become viable males if they don't get any testosterone signals in their water. They're one of those hermaphroditic fish, like frogs or snails, that has that ability for harsh times, because they live in such shallow puddles in India that dry out. Also, could we get some likes in here, folks? Could I get a mother effin' EFFENLIKE, please? That would be great. Oh, Curtis, we got another $50. $50 all night from Curtis. I appreciate that. Also, have you been adding any botanical... Okay, never mind. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. Also, if you guys are trying to talk to me to send me a message, it's great when you actually put my... what do you want to call it? My handle. The at Secret History. Even if you just say at Alex, my eye will see it easier. If you're a member, it even highlights it better. I know that's lame, but if you're not a member, just try to at least say at Secret History or at Alex, so I can try to get your question, because sometimes I spend too much time trying to decipher other folks' questions and comments between each other, and I'd rather be answering your questions. Let's see here. 85 in New Orleans. Yeah, it was 84 on Thursday over in Eastern Washington. 86. And then it dropped to 57 the next day and just rained all day. It was awful. Also, I see that we have Halen Bowler in here. What's going on? See, you give me the info. I'll try to use it correctly. Howlin'. Frank Scavo, hello. Scavo? I like that name. Thank you. I'm looking for a deep fish. Or, why did I say deep fish? I'm looking for a fish to go in my filter deep sand bed, 30 gallon, to go with my guppies and keep check on snails and breed. Okay, so you want it to breed and you want it to go with guppies. So it's going to like harder water, ideally, or neutral water. Guppies now in the hobby have been removed from the wild so long that the old truths of them being a colder climate fish that, I mean, not cold, but they could handle 60-degree tanks or bowls without aeration, no problem, when they were wild. Like back in the 50s even, they could handle that. Then when we started breeding in all the color and things and inbreeding them so much, line breeding them so much, we lost a lot of that robustness. People have tried to cross it back with endlers, and so that has happened. But yeah, oh, I see some of y'all hit that like button. We got 82 people in here, and I know y'all are coming and going, and we got 54 likes. Maybe I'm not that likable. I'm just not a likable dude, I guess, today. I'll just bury my head in the substrate. So I would say in a 30 gallon, you have a lot of options. With guppies, if you want it to keep the snails, though, in check. Oh, man. I would go with a loach. Maybe some sort of loach. Loaches are okay. Some of them come from limestone water over in China. So that'll be a high TDS, not high acidity necessarily. Not high. They're not basic, I should say. They don't have low acidity. like guppies tend to like that lower, lower acidity, which means higher pH number. I know that's a confusing thing to say. Uh, so they like, up to 8, 8.2 even. They can take some salt. They can take brackish water, a lot of guppies. There are some guppy-related Pulsiliata species that will live in saltwater exclusively, or brackish exclusively, I should say. But yeah, I would steer you towards loaches. They'll eat the snails. I would also say you could attempt pea puffers. They're probably not going to breed, and I have them with guppies though frequently. And people say how violent they are. Usually, they just need to establish a pecking order, and you need to give them hiding spots and keep the top clear for the guppies. The guppies are going to be in that very top water and the middle water usually, and the puffers want to be chilling on a leaf in the mid water usually, or sleeping on the bottom or hunting at the bottom. But yeah, that's a little tough one. Let me keep thinking. Here, fishy, I crushed snails 2 days in a row, and the cribs learned to eat snails in 2 days. Yeah, see, that's great. Here, fishy, same thing with me. So yeah, they do definitely learn that, for sure. Oh, you guys are better than me. I should keep scrolling before I answer questions, probably, huh? Because somebody else said, have you tried loaches right afterwards? Of course, and it was Halen. So, Dr. Pepper has as much caffeine as 6 cups of coffee. That is not true. Dr. Pepper has 27 milligrams of caffeine per serving. Coffee has somewhere between 50 and 100 depending on the blend. But soda is terrible for you. But I don't drink beer or anything, so it's kind of my thing. Let's see here. Alex, do you know anything about cardinal tetras having patchy, pale bellies? That sounds like... Yeah, that probably sounds not good. This could be the neon tetra type disease, but there's one for cardinal tetras. Like a wasting thing. If it's not patches that are on the exterior, if you just see a loss of color, it's probably a parasite. If it's patches on the exterior, it's probably fungal in nature, or could be bacterial, but that would be my guess offhand. I'd have to see pictures. It could be like flukes or something like that too, that are just really small and causing serious issues. It could be a bad case of ick that's just gotten way out of control. So it can be different things. That patchiness is kind of how they manifest most of their issues, other than dropsy or hole in the head type stuff, which is harder for them to get than, say, like a goldfish. Cribs get dropsy easily, like a goldfish. Let's see here. Gnarly fish tanks. Hello. Alright, I'm just gonna scroll to the new stuff. Oh wait, actually, Millions and Sons. Hey, how's it going? Watched a doc on the Khmer Empire in Angkor Wat. The advanced irrigation systems beg the question of what kind of fish occupied those channels, and what were they kept for? Enjoyment, question mark? No. I bet they were kept for all sorts of reasons. I would be willing to bet you almost anything that the fish in Tenochtitlan or Mexico City, since that whole city is based on a lake, it was rafted areas. Also, Lake Titicaca is another area that has ancient establishments on a lake. There was the mound culture, the Mississippian mound culture in the Mississippi Delta that had a lot of sandbars that they had built up and had aquaculture on. A lot of them that did irrigation intentionally put animals in there to complete an ecosystem. They wanted something to control mosquitoes. They knew mosquitoes were a vector for disease, in that they're annoying too. So maybe they didn't know, but they knew that they needed to get rid of mosquitoes. So there's probably some sort of killifish or gambusia, something like that. Angkor Wat is still the biggest palace or temple in the world, I believe. I think it's 8 square miles, the actual rock work. inside the irrigated main moat. And then there are hundreds of miles of canals all around it because that region used to flood with the monsoon. They controlled it with that irrigation system, it appears, for at least 500 years, probably. If not 300 for the full extent. They think there could have been 1 million people in the Khmer Empire. And then all of a sudden, it just disappears. And that's where you see those big Buddha skulls in the jungle, with vines growing on them and stuff. It's a beautiful, beautiful temple. It's one of my big dreams is to go there. I've had friends from Cambodia tell me all about it, and I've studied it in college. I've always been fascinated by megalithic structures. It was relatively late. It's not super ancient, but nevertheless, it's very impressive. What's also impressive is the stone. Like, where did they get stone? In a jungle, it's not exactly easy to find good sources of quarryable stone and then to get it through the jungle. As well as you need to clear land. So I would assure you that their aquaculture, very likely that they did have Chinese influence. They did trade with the Chinese, so I would assume that there and also in India and Bangladesh, and Myanmar, I would be willing to bet that they actually kept food fish in there of some sort that they would fish for on the outer moats or in the irrigation for the farms. It would be stupid not to, if you could. I would be willing to bet that they also kept something in there to eat algae or unwanted vegetation, but they would probably kill that, whatever it was, if it started eating the roots of tubers and other things they were growing to eat. For instance, or if they had lotuses or some sort of decorative plant or sacred plant that they used for something. In Egypt, it appears that they would use carp to get rid of other fish that ate bulbs in some of the ponds. Also, in the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, there's pictures of fish etched into a lot of the big stones, and we don't know what they were, but I mean, they must have been important. And they don't show them eating them or hanging them up to dry or anything. They show them like playing and swimming. So yeah, that would be a really good thing. There's a lot of conjecture on it, and I would love to do an episode on that. I would just have to put the warning, or the, I guess, don't yell at me kind of thing, that this is a lot of guessing. This is what I would guess as someone with a history degree and an anthropology degree, or archaeology too. So with those degrees, and someone who's kept fish for a long time, and just a buff on all those subjects put together, my guess of what they would have done, and what we see today, and the species that we know are established. Hold on, guys. I'm going to turn off the TV upstairs. My wife is taking a shower. She's doing stationary bike. I set up a little stationary bike for her since it's going into the cruddy season here. So let me turn off, because it's using the internet or whatever it is. Maybe the bandwidth will get better. Alright, guys. So, but yeah, I would like to do a video, very much so. I would really like to. Halen, that really gets my attention. Let me keep rolling through here. Ow. Yeah, alkaline water, Jeff. Sorry. That was the word I was looking for a while ago. Gobies do not eat snails, usually, unless they're big gobies, like the lipstick gobies actually will eat baby snails. They will, Frank. Yes, Dragon Lair says, if on mobile, close the chat, hit the like button, reopen the chat, and change it from top chat to live chat. Yeah, I've definitely, lately my chat has been defaulting to pain in the butt, like top chat. It doesn't on live streams usually, but that drives me nuts. Oh, wow. Dragon Lair says, Alex, I drank Dr. Pepper for 30 years, nearly a gallon a day. Haven't had one since 2003 when I had a heart bypass. Wow, man, that's rough. You know, I actually cut out, for the most part, I cut out all candy because I realized that I'm having like 2 sodas a day. I try to save one for the stream and one for dinner. But I'll usually have like one in the afternoon and one in dinner. Sometimes I'll start my morning with them though. Like, especially if I'm up really late and then I'm joining like Father Fish's stream, sometimes I'll still have like half a one. Cheryl, I've treated the disease for a week now with fenbendazole in frozen daphnia. Well, that's a great way to do it, by the way. Very smart of you to do that so that a small fish will eat it. Fenbendazole can be tricky as it is not. Okay, I don't want to say for sure. It's not effectively absorbed through the water. So that's great that you did that in the food. Whereas antibiotics are water soluble and they'll go right through the membrane on the fish. And so you just basically overdose the water and you don't have to worry about their food getting it. If fenbendazole did not get rid of anything, then it's probably not parasites. It could be some really tenacious worm of some sort, but that's unlikely in those. It could be Colmenares. And if it's Colmenares, I don't have an answer other than you literally have to get rid of the ones with it and don't let them infect the others. And yeah, when I say yeah, get rid of them, I mean with a mean tone in my voice, unfortunately. Simon Crutch, I tune in from Cambodia to hear you talking about the Khmer Empire. Well, maybe you can tell us about the Khmer Empire. That would be great. We were just speculating on what made the what went into the palaces and their waterways and the giant lakes. I think there's, what are there, 7? You might know. Major rectangular, perfect 90-degree angles. I mean, they're huge. One's like 1.5 miles long in one direction. Lawrence, thank you so much. I really appreciate the super chat. That's awesome. Going out of town was a little unexpected. We had some friends that we needed to see. They've been, with all this lockdown and everything, and had some health and family issues, and we needed to go see them because, if someone's in the hospital now, you can't even go stay with them or see them. And we just miss people, and we hadn't seen them in a while. Lots gone on in our lives, and they moved to a town that's 4.5, 5 hours away in the corner of the state. And so we also used it as an excuse to get away and go to a town that doesn't have an outbreak of anything right now, too. Let's see here. Aqua Negro IG. Alex, I have a pair of clown killifish with a few medacas. When pulling medaka mops, I find similar but smaller eggs. Could these be clown killifish eggs or just smaller medaka? Yes, those are likely killifish eggs. Mops is exactly how they would like to spawn. I've had them spawn on stuff as small as duckweed. They have very small eggs, but their eggs need to grow for even longer than the medakas. In fact, I've had a tank sit and found new baby clown killies 6 months after I took their parents out and thought it was just a shrimp tank. So I don't know how long the eggs can be viable, if I might have moved a plant in there, but it seems to appear to me that they can survive quite a while. Alex, can the appearance of pest snails be an indicator of water quality? Great question. Wahanad, is it Wahanad Jean-Francois? Great question. Yes, that is likely an indicator that your water quality, that you have too much available protein and nutrients in there. Could be carbs. It could be in the form of like bulbs, like that have been have abrasions, and now the starch and the carbs are available for those snails to eat. But generally, it's protein, so it's usually fish or shrimp food, and you're putting too much in. Fish and shrimp surprisingly eat a lot of algae and a lot of microbes, and you have a richer ecosystem than you can imagine in your tank, especially if it's an older tank. So it's very easy for them, just like they're doing downstairs in my tank. I've been gone, I haven't fed them for 5 days, yet somehow something got off and the snails exploded. They just need to think there's food. So the adults just need to binge for a few meals to trigger that hormonal response of let's make lots of baby snails. It's you who gets to make the decision, will those baby snails have enough food to proliferate and keep going? And the answer is cut the food back and that'll be okay. What eats planaria? Jennifer says anything eats planaria if it's hungry enough. Planaria must taste really, really awful. Danikin, how's it going, brother? It must taste really awful because not even my angelfish and like angry fish like it when I get it in a pipette and feed it to them. They'll get so excited and chase it, and then they'll be like, "What the hell did you give me?" So I think that it's got to taste like nothing or terrible. I don't know, just yeah, whatever. Um, but yeah, mm. You know, Battis eat them, Corys eat them. I don't ever see them in big outbreaks in fish tanks, honestly. If you have substrate without a lot of plants, um, and maybe big fish that wouldn't eat them, then I could see that happening. But little fish will just kind of pick at them when you're not looking. You know, they'll eat them. Alex, what do you think about sparkling gourami? I love them. They're beautiful. Alex, I mixed it with a touch of Epsom salts. Yeah, that's another great idea with if you're feeding the food. The other thing you can mix that will help clean out the gut and also well, so it's an antibacterial, antimicrobial, which in your gut is a two-way street. You might want to knock some things out. You might want to not keep others. You know, for a healthy microbiome in us and them. But garlic is a good one. It's not so abrasive of a chemical agent that it causes damage to much of anything, but it is abrasive enough that it actually will kill a lot of harmful things. Lawrence, man, wow, thank you so kindly. That is very kind of you. We've got another big super chat and no message. What do you want me to do? I will sing, I will dance, I will pander. I will pander in any way that you see fit for that kind of money. If I had if I had a pole, I'd turn it into a spear and catch fish with it. That didn't go where you thought it would, did it? So yeah, thank you so much. That really goes a long way with this channel. You know, Joel, aka Corvus Osteen, Joel Christensen, he lives about an hour south of me, hour and a half, and he is selling his Canon what is it, D5, I think, and yeah, because he's getting a new one. So he's selling it for $1,000, and that's money I don't have right now, but it's money that I might ask if I can do like a couple payments on because I had to get some other medical stuff taken care of and some dental stuff because you know it looks like I have great teeth, right? Yeah, wrong. Um, so yeah, but I'm thinking about doing that. I would enjoy getting a nicer camera. I have a Canon Rebel T3i, and I have Canon Power Shots that I've had over the years. But yeah, Lawrence says, "Have a good night, Chevy, Muppet, Alex, everyone." That is too kind. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Uh, Holiday in Cambodia. Speaking of the dead Kennedys, I met Jello Biafra once. He was a weird dude. Um, all right, let's see here. Yeah, let's see if we can get the likes. Well, as people trail off here, let's see if we can get the likes. Oh, we just did to match the population that's in here. Um, let's see. All right, I'm gonna keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Just keep scrolling. I've been just chasing, following this. Uh, you like your pest snails, but they look thin lately. Well, feed them. They'll eat. They'll eat anything. I mean, they'll eat. They'll also eat like cucumbers, zucchini, mushed up bananas. I've heard. I wouldn't want to put that in my water, but I've heard other people do it. I think they mean plantains, maybe, and it's just a misunderstanding. Because in America, We've got the um, not the Grand. Is it the Grand Michel? Is it the Grand Michel or is it the? Okay, somebody can set me straight. Do we have the Grand Michel or do we have the other banana? And the Grand Michel is the one that went extinct in 1958. There's two banana cultivars that all the main bananas, Chiquita, Dole, Del Monte, all those. Whenever you see a big banana, big yellow banana in America or Europe, it's one cultivar. It's not even one species. It's one strain. It's a clone. It's been cut. Same with apples. If you like one apple, like Fuji apples, that's one cultivar, a species individual that's been cut and then tied onto another tree and then on so on and so forth. And then they cut that down. Curtis again with another $1.50. Man, you just space these out. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is it legal to ship brine shrimp eggs from Canada or from wherever to Canada? Most likely. There are brine shrimp native to Canada. The only issue I could see with that is that maybe the ones that are up in the shale, up in the Brecon, they might be threatened by some of these more robust, domestically engineered ones. That would be my only thought. Because I know the creator of sea monkeys actually crossed one of the or whatever you want to call it, brine shrimp, from up north in Canada, in Alberta, mixed some of those with some of the ones in Utah and some other one to get the hardy one. Simon says the barres at Ankar are amazing. Hand dug, were connected to their massive network of irrigation canals. Ultimately, they believe that their system falling into disrepair was a factor in their decline. Yes, definitely. That's stuff I've seen a lot of that. So I've watched a lot of specials. It's changed over the years a lot. What they thought it was. First I read that they thought it could have been the role of Hinduism and Islam. Well, those had actually permeated the region all the way down into the Philippines and Indonesia, both of them, since far earlier than that. So probably not that. I mean, it could have been some shift. Like right now the Uyghurs are moving and don't have a place to stay per se for the last 100 years. They don't have a homeland really that anyone can agree on. That is. So it could be something like that. But I mean, there could also have been something really, just detrimental, like you said, of maybe the floodgates weren't working. Something similar to New Orleans. Maybe sea levels just kind of change subtly, and when you live right at water level and the groundwater level changes, that could cause issues. It could have been that they weren't getting, or sediment built up or something, like something just really benign like that happened over time. It also could have been mismanagement, disease, war, all those things. But I have seen that they've been leaning more and more towards that they think it was something in infrastructure-wise. I'll have to, for the members, anybody who wants to be a member, this is just the kind of side tangent that, now I'm curious about, so I'm going to be reading about it. If I can find any new published material in the last 5 years that either contradicts, reinforces, or brings up new ideas and thoughts of what we've been talking about tonight about these monolithic constructions during Neolithic all the way through, the 1700s building periods, I'll do some digging and I'll post those for members. I will actually steal them, copy and paste them, I should say, from the sites I pay for, and I'll let you guys preview them. I'll call it a preview. I'll leave one page out or something at the end. I'm allowed to share some of it. If I'm teaching, I'm allowed to share it. So I'll have to... bananas we have now are the Cavendish. Thank you so much. Amuse in the craft room. So, little trivia, nothing to do with fish. Bear's Face brine shrimp, I'd get them from Brine Shrimp Direct in San Francisco. Use the code UFISH, letter U and then fish. If you can't get them in Canada, I'm sure you can get brine shrimp for a good price up there. Get them dry and then hatch them. But if you can't, then... Pat, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I really do, man. Thank you for the support. I know that that means a lot coming from a fellow person that Pat and I talk a lot behind the scenes. So means a lot, man. We were just bitching about how life can be sometimes. So thank you. Did you see what I suggested about Praveen Mohan on YouTube? No, or Praveen Mohan. I don't even know what that is. Might be a dummy, but please explain what you said. I'll go back to, but I'm finally caught up, and I feel like that's when I can turn it off. Like when I catch up, I finally can. The stone was probably floated down from nearby mountains. Yeah, that would be some boat and some canal to build to float it down. Definitely. Now they have the ability. They just did it with the sarsen stones on Stonehenge, which are the big keystones, as we'd probably call them in general terms. But a sarsen stone just means a stone that is the main feature, or a hoisted stone that is supported by nothing but other stones uh, in archaeology. And they've spotted where that stone came from now. They're able to atomically analyze it and look at it under mass spectrometer gas chronometer. Man, my mouth is just having troubles. Mass spectrometer gas chromatography. Bleh. So basically, they take it, they pulverize it into a dust, and then they turn it into a plasma or a gas. They shoot light through it, and the light that reflects back, those band waves, then tell them what elements are in it, and then the ratio of those elements they can pick out, and they do this over and over and over and over. And then it gives them a readout on a computer of what light was reflected. So hydrogen has a certain wavelength it reflects. And this is how we do interplanetary science also. This is how we do water science. This is how they test water at a lot of like aquarium facilities when they need to know, is it copper? Did somehow arsenic or, antifreeze get in there? They can find out really complex things that way. So, yeah. Dragon Lair says he goes to temples all over India, Indonesia, and talks about the carvings and gods. He's a little out there on hidden alien technology, but he goes to places you never knew existed. That's cool. Yeah, English is hard sometimes. I agree. Yeah, there's another spot in Sri Lanka that I would love to go to. It's a big stone area, and there's a temple city on top. It's, I don't know, maybe like 4 acres on top, but it's this giant stone. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Another really cool spot with water at the base, flowing in different directions from it, and it was built by Buddhist monks hiding, I believe, from a warring period in like the Tamil ethnic groups warring area in there. Okay, so I think we've got a lot to chew on right now mentally. Let's think about some of these things. You guys have inspired me with the talks tonight. We've gone down some rabbit trails, and I appreciate that. So if you want to be a member, you can click that join button. And in the future, I'm not going to be sharing I'll still share videos with you guys, but I'm not going to be sharing all the back work and content, which I never shared before anyways. So you're not really missing anything that was here before. If you're like, hey, you've changed. No, I haven't. If anything, the way I've changed is I'm doing more work. But basically, do a banana video. No, but I will do some lily and some, maybe some riparium videos. Talking, like we talked the other day for a while about how these are chimeras. So pothos is very frequently a chimera. Because of how often it's grafted, which is two plants together, and then they cut the bottom below the graft, and they hand you two plants, and then they do that over and over again. They don't even know what piece they grafted off. So, yeah, post on Facebook, Bear's Face. Let us know who you are in post, like your real name, or if your name's Bear's Face on Facebook, then great. But yeah. So, oh yeah, here Fishy says, I was just reading about lilies today. Yeah, they do that. So I was just going to say, though, that posting, or post that on Facebook. Let me know what you need. I'll try to find it in Canada for you, because I know Vancouver, they sell San Francisco brand, which brine shrimp direct, San Francisco Bay. Says San Francisco on the label. It's a blue package. Usually they sell it frozen too, but they sell it. If you have an issue, there is a service where you can buy American stuff on American Amazon. If you have a VPN, and then people go across the border, pick it up in the town I used to live in, up at Bellingham, Washington. They go over to Blaine, Washington, which is just north 10 miles. And there are hundreds of these places now where Canadians will buy stuff, and then they'll drive across the border and they'll go pick it up for a group of people, and then they'll mail it for you. It does cost some extra, but if you really can't find something and you really want it, that's one way to do it too. I don't know about all the legal implications of all that, but I think it would be okay with probably most brine shrimp. Jeff, just as last thing I'm going to talk about tonight, because we talked about it earlier, was the Cavendish banana, real quick, even though that has nothing to do. Yes, Pothos does get huge, Dragon Lair. It is crazy. We do have a very young Pothos generally in most houses. When it gets nutrients, when it can plug into that nitrate level, or that thick humus layer in a jungle. When I say humus, I don't mean the dip. Obviously, I mean this thick layer that's on top of the Earth's crust of just living, good Earth-smelling stuff. That's just thousands of years of millions of years of things decaying and flooding and decaying and flooding, full of nutrients. And that's also what burns in wildfires. But yeah, they are, yes, humus. I know it is pronounced humus, Jeff. Thank you. I should make that different. Eat your humus, your hummus, not your humus. If you say it like my family in Israel, then it's hummus. But in any case, immersed. The bananas, that's what I was going to end on tonight, guys. So thank you so much. Thanks for those of you who hit the like button, who are subscribed, who are joining, who watch the videos. I really do appreciate all your time. You are the best, you guys. I love having you in my lives, and it seems like you guys enjoy having each other in your lives, so really do enjoy the community. The thing I was going to talk about is, so we have the Cavendish banana now, and it's a singular cultivar. So when the Irish potato famine happened, they had one particular potato. Well, we have, due to McDonald's and other things, we have like the russet potato, or we have Burbanks, and we have a, what? Kennebec. What is it? Kennebec. Kennebec? It's the most popular potato for French fries. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, perfect. So the Kennebec, my wife deals in produce. So that's the most popular potato for French fries now. And it's a monoculture. So if a disease hits it, it can kill it all. So we need to diversify, especially when there's 1,800 species of potatoes, or subspecies, or whatever you want to call it, strains. And the Grand Michel was a banana that up until 1957 or 8, that's what everyone ate from the 1928 when Dole took over the Central America and Northern South America. Basically, when we say Banana Republic, we literally mean American companies went in with the help of the U.S. government funding, took over those regions. Also, like in Venezuela, it was to do with oil, and it had to do with other resources and this whole Monroe Doctrine thing. Never mind, different channel. But we went in there basically so that we could exploit the people agriculturally for their cheap labor and the land to grow these things on. I don't mean exploit in a negative way necessarily. It could have brought them into the developed world. It didn't right away, and it went bad in a lot of cases, but I continue. So we go in there, the Banana Republics, and we have these big banana plantations. Well, there was a disease that went through the bananas. And is mycorrhizal fungi safe for fish? Yeah, it is. It is usually inert. It very rarely has any high concentration of alkaloids or enzymes that are active in any appreciable way, both for humans and for animals. I say this as a mushroom hunter, so I assume that would be true for most things. Other than, I mean, you get into some weird stuff when we talk about like ergot and other molds that are like, they have LSA, which is related to LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide. Um, and its precursor is LSA. It can be found on ergot in theory. Let's stick with the bananas for a minute. Okay, so the bananas, the Grand Michel was what we used to eat. And then it got wiped out by this blight that went around the world. Killed all of them except for very few. There are still some, I believe it's like Madagascar and Zanzibar or somewhere weird like that, and then a few islands in the Philippines. They do still have a Grand Michel, but apparently it was a way better tasting banana than the one we have now, according to most people who were alive for that transition and remember it well. And then we went with the Cavendish, which is a bigger banana and it's starchier. It's sweet, but it's also starchy, like it's firm. It's a little less creamy, a little less tapioca-y. And that's what all our bananas pretty much are now, unless you buy something like plantains. So if you're eating a banana, they're all like that. And unless you're in a developing nation, perhaps, not in the quote-unquote West, which doesn't make any sense because I'm talking about, you know, Japan being the West, even though it's like as far east as you can go in our system of charting the globe, whatever. So when that went extinct, because of this, it went from farm to farm and they couldn't stop it. They had already come out with this chemical that's very similar to the chemical in juicy fruit. And the chemical in juicy fruit tastes like jackfruit very similarly, like papaya, mango, peach, and jackfruit mixed together. But it's actually just a chemical that's completely synthetic and just was made in the lab at the turn of the century. And they're like, oh my goodness, this smells fruity and good. And it happened to be not so harmful. I mean, they haven't found it to be harmful. So they figured out another one that smelled exactly like the bananas back then. So that's why banana candies and also grapes have changed the cultivars we eat. So both grape candy and banana candy were based on flavors that we don't eat anymore. So if you've ever wondered why banana candy does not taste like bananas, that's why. So that's what I'll end on. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. If you feel like joining, I'll post any articles I can find related to this stuff. I'm trying to do like extra stuff for members and just keep doing good stuff. I hope what you guys think is good. For those of you who are here and can't be members, because I totally get it if you can't spare it. I definitely can't most of the time. So, all right, guys, you have a great night or morning or whatever it is, wherever you are. Make it a great one. I will talk to you later. Thank you, moderators. Thank you for all the great questions, everyone. Have a great night. I'll talk to you later. Bye.